Good morning, 12th class. Let us continue with the explanation of the second stanza. Be attentive throughout this video lesson. Asar cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn. I told you yesterday, children, that these are phrases and they do not have conjunctions in them. This is again a poetic device in which we skip the conjunctions. Now what is this poetic device? You will be writing it. You can inbox me or you can write it in your notebook. What is it? I have already told you. Yesterday only I have told you what poetic device is this. I made you write even. Now the classroom environment, children, it is dull and it's very depressing inside. The rooms, the walls are painted in dull pale yellow color, and this makes the appearance inside the classroom very dull. Donations. Now whatever is there received by the school, it is at the mercy of the upper class people. They are giving donations, and as a result the walls are being painted, the furnitures are being replaced, so the children are living at the mercy on the donations of the upper class people. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, belled, flowery, Triolis valley. Now the poet goes on to say that there are some paintings and there are some sceneries that are hanging on the wall of this classroom. He says that there is a Shakespeare's head, that is a portrait on Shakespeare's head which is hanging on the wall. Also there is a scenery that shows a clear sky. There are high buildings which constitute the rich colonies in the society, and there is also a scenery showing the musical fountain valley of Austria, which has got belled flowers with a sweet fragrance. All these words, children, flowery, decorative, civilized, cloudless, these are in total contrast to what exactly the picture of the slum is. Children in the slum will never be able to enjoy the works of Shakespeare. Why? Because they will never get an opportunity to study or go for their higher studies. There are many cases of dropouts, like I was telling you yesterday, and children will not get that opportunity for higher studies. So the pictures that are adorning the walls of the classroom are of no use. The slum children are not able to relate themselves to those pictures. Now again there is a scenery of a sky that is cloudless. Cloudless sky means what? The sun is shining brightly, which gives a hope for a new day, right? A new beginning, a hopeful future. But for these children, their future is doomed. Civilized colonies. Again, that picture shows civilized colonies with high buildings. It shows beautiful gardens, valleys, everything which is far away, removed from the imagination of these slum children. Hence, the atmosphere inside the classroom is nothing, there is nothing that will motivate or inspire these children. Open-handed map awarding the world its world. Now children, over here the open-handed map has been used as a metaphor which shows that the society has been carved in such a way that the boundaries are not fixed. Now the boundaries are not fixed for the people of the upper class children. They can mold, they can twist and turn the rules and the regulations in order to satisfy their selfish interest. Okay, the open-handed map is carved out, is chalked out in such a way so as to satisfy the whims and fancies of the upper class people, of the capitalists, and they're awarding the world its world. So this world of the upper class, which is being awarded, which is being given to realize by these slum children, is useless, is of no use. They will never be able to fit in or relate to that map, to that world that is being shown to them. So Shakespeare's head, a scenery of clear sky, high rising buildings, beautiful fountains, valleys, flowers. This is a map, this is a world which these capitalists are offering to these children in the slum. And what type of a world is in the slum, children? Of filth, of junk, of garbage strewn all around them. So this world that the capitalists are offering is in total contrast to the real world experienced by these slum children. And yet, for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, were all their futures painted with a fog. Now, what does the poet go on to say here, children? He goes on to say that, and still for these children, these windows, now the windows of their classroom, children, when they peep out of those windows, what will they see? Now, because the classroom, the school is situated in the slum, of course, when they will peep out of the room, they will be able to see filth, junk, dirt, disease, and garbage lying here and there. So this is what they will see, and this is what is their actual world. So not this map which is being offered by the rich people, but what they see outside the window is actually their world, where all their futures painted with a fog. And when such a world they will see, they will realize that this is our real future. It's painted with a fog. Fog means what, children? What does fog symbolize over here? Something that is not clear. So their future, it is very unclear, bleak, concealed, hidden. They cannot see clearly through their future. So all their future is painted with a fog. Let me go on to the next page now, children. Children, I hope you all are following and you are noting down what I am explaining. Very, very important poem from the examination point of view also, children. Okay. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. I have just explained you, children, where all their futures painted with a fog. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. Children, lead sky over here also is a metaphor. Now, what is lead? Lead is a very heavy metal. A metal that is impenetrable. You cannot penetrate through it. You cannot see across, right? Now, if I say a narrow street, children, narrow street means what? Less scope, less opportunities. I can symbolize this. This is a metaphor again over here. Narrow street, which means no hope or restrictions and a big struggle for these children. They are unable to escape these narrow streets. They are caught in these narrow streets. They are struggling, but they will never be successful in coming out of these narrow streets, these restrictions. They don't have any opportunities. They don't have any hopes. So lead sky over here is a metaphor, children. Now, from fog to endless night, the situation of the children is without joy, without hope. And it has been compared to fog and their black future, and their bleak future is compared to an endless night. Okay, I will be explaining this. Far, far from rivers, capes and stars of words. Children, their actual world, that is the world of the slum, it is far, far from. Now, what is the poetic device used here in far, far from? It's repetition as well as alliteration. What does this repetition suggest? It is emphasizing upon the fact that their world is far removed from the beauty, from the hope of nature, and from the benefits of education. So, star of words over here means it is devoid of beauty, it is devoid of prosperity, and it is devoid of knowledge. So, star of words over here is knowledge, children. So, they are far removed from all this, and hence they are caught in that fog in a sealed street, at the end of which there is a leaden sky which is impenetrable. They cannot come out of it. They are doomed forever, that vicious circle. You can relate to it, children. Coming to the next stanza now. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. The map, a bad example. Now this is very important, children. Exposing children to an unrealistic world, children. The world of Shakespeare, what kind of a picture does Shakespeare paint, children? Happy, a happy world, a beautiful world, a hopeful world. Okay. So what does the poet say? Surely exposing these children to Shakespeare is wicked. It's not a good idea. The map is a bad example. The map is also a very bad example. They will never be able to understand it. They will never be able to relate themselves to it. With ships and sun and love tempting them to steal. Now children, here I am reminded of a phrase that we often use, that every cloud has a silver lining. Now though their future is bleak, but still there is hope. By exposing these children to higher education, to these beautiful pictures and sceneries, we are trying to give them hope, children. The poet is trying to say that yes, there is hope. We can plant hope in their mind, in their heart. But this too will be a bad idea. Why? Because it will tempt them to take up unfair means. These false hopes of sunshine, this hope of breaking free from their pathetic condition, will only push them or make them astray from the path of righteousness. They will try to take up unfair means to achieve the unachievable, right? So they will be tempted to steal. They will resort to unfair means for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes from fog to endless night. Very, very important line again, children. For lives. Now these children, they are slyly turn in their cramped holes means what, children? They are secretively, furtively, just twisting and turning. They cannot go beyond their cramped holes. Now cramped holes over here, children, they are living in cramped holes, those shanties. Again, if you throw yourself back to the lesson, Lost Spring, you can relate to what you had read, the types of houses, the dungeons, the dark and dingy houses, those narrow lanes with drains flowing. Can you create that word picture in your mind, children? So this is exactly what the poet is saying, that they live in those cramped holes on those narrow streets in the slum, and they are secretively moving in those holes. So this is, a state of utter poverty, children, a state of utter poverty, their life which is pathetic, and they secretively move about in it. What they are doing, nobody is bothered about. Nobody knows what they are doing. They take birth there and eventually die in those cramped holes. So their entire life is a secret. They don't have that name, they don't have even the fame. How can they, right? So their life is secretively moving in those cramped holes, in those dark, dingy houses, from fog to endless night. Now, from fog over here, children, means what? Again, a future that is not clear. They are passing their present with an unclear future. Endless night means even at the end they die the same way. There is no hope, there is no scope. They are caught in that miserable plight, in that miserable condition. All that they have is an unclear and uncertain future, and they eventually die. So endless night over here shows their continual state of poverty and misery, which ultimately leads to death in those cramped holes. So endless night means the perpetual state of poverty. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel. Children, slag heap, what does it mean? You know, the filth and the junk that is prevailing in the slum. On the slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones. In amongst that filth and junk, these children are moving about and they are emaciated. Another word used on page number 92 was what is that? The paper seeming boy, very thin like paper. So they are very thin and it seems as if the skin is peeping through by bones. Their bones can be clearly seen. They are so thin. And spectacles of steel with mended glass. And even the spectacles that they are wearing, if they are wearing spectacles, the glass in it is mended. Mended over here means what? They don't even have that much money so as to repair a glass that is of no use. Children, tell me one thing, if you will wear a spectacle and the glass is, has a crack, will you be able to see anything clearly? No, we won't be able to see anything clearly. So what does it suggest? That they don't even have the means to provide themselves with the basic requirements. They cannot even provide, there is not even enough money to provide for a glass, a spectacle. Wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass. So steel is also opaque and mended glass is also near to opaque through which you cannot see. So basically the idea over here is that they cannot see through, like bottle bits on stones, and their present, their future is all shattered, like we shatter a glass on a piece of rock, on a rock. What do? If you throw a glass on a rock, what will happen? It will break into 100 pieces. In the same way, the present and the future of these children, it's shattered like bottle bits on stones. So the poetic device used here, because I have used like, it is simile. Bottle bits, bottle bits, it is alliteration. All of the time and space are foggy slum. Now all their time and all their space, it is occupied in those foggy slum. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. Children, there is much anger in the tone of Shakespeare, of Stephen Spender over here. What is the poet saying? With much anger and with much pessimism in his voice. So blot their maps with slums as big as doom. So don't show these children a happy world that does exist. In fact, blot their maps with slums. Show them the examples of slums, which is as big as doom, which is hopeless. Don't show them the examples of these beautiful valleys of Shakespeare. Don't give them a rosy picture painted by Shakespeare, because Shakespeare paints a beautiful world, a world of love he creates, Shakespeare. So the poet is being very pessimistic over here, and there is much anger in his tone. He's saying that don't show this beautiful world to these slum children, but show them their real world, that is the world of filth, the world of dirt, of garbage, of disease to these children, which is as big as doom. Doom is something that is hopeless, shattered completely for life. Now, why is the poet being pessimistic in his tone? Why doesn't he want these children to be exposed to the goodness of the world? Children, I shall be explaining to you all that when we do the next stanza. Next stanza I will take up in the next class, children. Please take down the notes and also write down the poetic devices contained in the second and third stanza. Children, I am explaining you the poetic devices also simultaneously. Now, one poetic device I have skipped, children. If you go back to stanza 1, there is this poetic device used, transferred epithet, father's gnarled disease. It's a transferred epithet. You have done transferred epithet in grade 11 in the poem A Photograph. I will be explaining to you what transferred epithet is, and then we will see how it has been used in this expression, father's gnarled disease. Okay, children, I have already given you the assignment. You have to write down the poetic devices contained in the second and the third stanza and write down the meaning and how it has been used in the poem. Okay, so this is your assignment for the day. Thank you, class.